Double-digit thousands.
Hey guys, it's Toofy the Barbarian here, and today we are continuing our series on Toolbox characters. These characters are characters that aren't focused entirely around a single role in Overwatch. Instead, they have many different abilities that open up several options for both the character and their team. Today's Toolbox character, and one of the best examples of this concept in the entire game, is Junkrat. That's right folks, just like Zenyatta from our first video, Junkrat is packed full of special abilities which give him a lot more options in combat than most other heroes. So what's so special about him, you might ask? Well, first off, aiming is overrated. Actually, aiming isn't overrated, but Junkrat has the ability to do something that almost no one else in the game can do, which is shoot around corners. His bullets do not simply stop or explode when they meet an object like the vast majority of projectiles. Instead, they explode immediately if they hit an enemy character or part of that character. Otherwise, they bounce off and around objects in the area and then explode on a timer. This means that Junkrat can stand around a corner where no one can see him, bounce grenades off a wall or car or statue, and hit people on the other side. This ability is extremely valuable when defending a choke point, since he can fill a room or doorway with explosives while not receiving incoming fire. Once you figure out how this works, you can get very creative with it. If the enemy Reinhardt is standing around with his shield up, then shoot up and over his shield. Bounce the grenades off the wall behind him and they'll explode at his back. If you see a wounded character running for a health pack around the corner, then bounce a few grenades off the wall and bank them towards the health pack. Watching someone play Junkrat really well is like watching a professional pool player take control of a pool table. Knowing the proper bank angles and all of the good places to bounce explosives off for maximum effect can ruin an enemy's plans very quickly. However, that's just the beginning with Junkrat. He has a deep toolbox to pull from. His other special ability are his steel traps. You can throw them just about anywhere, and if an enemy player steps in it, then they are stunned for 1 second and rooted for 3 seconds. Just like his grenade launcher, a good player can get very creative with where they place these traps. Especially once you figure out that a player only has to touch any part of the trap for it to work. In other words, you don't have to fill a doorway with the whole trap. If you do this, then the trap is much easier to see. Instead, place it carefully so that it's hard to see, but impossible not to step on. And soon you'll be eating Tracer stew. Many fast characters such as Tracer and Sombra tend to fall into habits and routines. If the enemy Sombra keeps appearing, shooting someone and then disappearing, then go find her hacked health pack and put a trap on it. When she teleports back next time, gotcha! Place a concussion mine inside the steel trap, and as soon as she triggers it, she'll realize the error of using the same health pack all match. If Tracer keeps taking the same exact side path to flank your team, then place the trap in that shortcut with a concussion mine nearby. She'll think twice about taking that route again, and it will slow her down. One final tip with the steel trap is to switch it up. Don't keep dropping it in the same place every time. If you catch a Tracer in a doorway, she'll check it next time, but she might not check 10 feet past that doorway in the open, and gotcha! Essentially make those speedy little characters like Trace and Genji constantly paranoid about where the next trap will be. Lastly, even if the steel trap doesn't catch or kill anyone, almost no one will walk past it and leave it alone. No matter whether your trap is activated or destroyed, you will be notified on your screen. What this means is that you can simply set a steel trap to see if anyone is trying to flank your team. If it activates or is destroyed, then you need to check that link. Speaking of concussion mines, we move on to the next tool in Junkrat's toolbox, and probably one of the most fun abilities that he has. The concussion mine is so fantastic because it's a single ability with multiple uses, and it's on a relatively short cooldown. The first and most common use is one that we just discussed. If you place a concussion mine on or very close to a steel trap, then the combination of the trap's 80 damage and the concussion mine's 120 damage is enough to kill 60% of the characters in-game immediately. One school of thought for playing Junkrat says save your concussion mine for other uses, but another school of thought says that you should always combine steel traps and concussion mines for instant kills. The second most common use for the concussion mine is to use it on yourself as a rocket jump. Your own mine will not hurt you, and it will push your character in the opposite direction of where you place it. If you put it on the ground, jump over it, and detonate it, then you'll be sent high into the air and will be able to get up onto ledges and buildings that other players cannot reach very easily. Then you can toss grenades down on their head. Another way to use concussion mines is what we like to call the panic push. If you come around a corner and suddenly there's a roadhog in your face, then immediately throw and detonate your concussion mine at the same time. Why? Because the blast will always push you in the opposite directions. This will create some space between you and the enemy so that you can lob grenades at their face. Yet another great way to use a concussion mine is to displace characters. Not only does the mine explode for damage, but like we just mentioned, it also knocks players around. If you manage to get your mine behind a Reinhardt who is shielding a bastion, then you can knock the Reinhardt away from the bastion, or off a ledge, or off the top of a building. You can break up groups of people trying to protect each other. Of course, another common way to use this concussion mine is as a finisher. If some of your grenades hit an enemy player and they're still alive, just toss the concussion mine over their head and detonate it. Remember that the concussion mine has a lot of range. You can throw it really far and you can detonate it at any time. For instance, if there's a Pharaoh above you with a couple bars of health left, then throw it up in the air behind her and detonate it in the air for a quick kill. So we've talked about his grenade launcher, steel trap, and concussion mine, but he also has one more sneaky trick up his sleeve. When Junkrat dies, he drops 6 grenades on the ground that explode for 50 damage each. This means that if someone kills you and they run over the grenades and are hit by all of them, then they can take up to 300 damage. That's half of Roadhog's health and will instantly kill 75% of the other characters in the game. The easiest way to use this is to die, but we don't recommend that since your toolbox of abilities is much more useful when you're alive. Another way to use this is to die as a sacrifice and take people with you. If there's absolutely no way you're going to live through a fight, then do your best to die as close to a group of enemies as possible. So if you're defending the Temple of Anubis and you're fighting 4 players on the last point while contesting, then try to die on the group of them if possible. I've seen one dead Junkrat save a contested point hundreds of times. Lastly, we have the Riptire. This ultimate is one of the more difficult ultimates to land now that the game has been out for a while, and people know that shooting is their best chance to live. However, it is still very powerful, and if you can find a sneaky place to drop it on an enemy team, then you can possibly kill them all in one shot. One of the best parts about the Riptire, and why it's such a great tool in Junkrat's toolbox, is because it can jump and climb walls. This means that you can reach unexpected places with it and kill players who don't think they can be hit. And that, folks, is why Junkrat is considered to be one of the best toolbox characters in the game. His abilities allow him to provide wide range of options to his team rather than just focusing on shooting. Stay tuned to this channel because we are going to talk about each and every toolbox hero in the game and give each one their own separate video. Anyhow, if you like this video and want to see more, then please subscribe, like, and comment. We'd really love to hear your opinions and we'd like to know how we can improve our YouTube channel. See you in game. Bye bye!